What's going on, guys? So a topic that comes up from time to time when I'm working with clients or just kind of through client calls is around the investability of their business and how do they enhance their investability of their business. And I'm going to be talking about this through kind of the framework or lens of nutritional supplement businesses. I'm going to be picking that lens because I think it has a very interesting story to tell around it. If you think about some of the other consumer packaged goods or fast-moving consumer goods categories, you know, I mean, if you follow the kind of the investment community, you guys know that there is a larger proportion of investments that happen, with the beauty brands, food and beverage, personal care, home care, pet, all those types of categories. They have a lot more proportion of investments than arguably the fastest or one of the fastest growing product categories in CPG, kind of the nutritional supplement space, or what analysts kind of call the vitamin, mineral, and supplement category. That in itself makes for a pretty interesting story. I mean, for it to be growing the fastest, yet you don't see a lot of investments by either strategics, you don't see a lot of venture money flowing in, you don't see a lot of private equity money kind of flowing in. And there's obviously examples, and people can point to a lot of different examples. But if you look at the sheer number of nutritional supplement brands to the amount of brands that get investments on any type of level, be it a full buyout, majority stake, a minority stake, any of those types of things, it doesn't happen as much relative to a lot of these other CPG categories. So I think it's kind of an interesting story to tell, one that I think you guys will get some value from. Hopefully you guys do. But I just want to state kind of a point outside of just my main points that I'm going to kind of cover next, is that what I found like more times than not is that the entrepreneur that started these nutritional supplement business has not really thought out their exit strategy. And I'm not saying that that is, a determining factor of your investability of your business, but I think it's an important thing to think about. As kind of a classically trained business person, having my MBA, it's always kind of beat into you about exit strategies and really focusing on that first and kind of building things back from that. I think because a lot of the nutritional supplement brands are kind of built as lifestyle businesses, and I don't want you guys to you guys hear a lot about lifestyle brands. Lifestyle business is a little bit different. It's kind of building a business that will sustain a certain lifestyle for the entrepreneur, maybe make them a pretty good living. They also get to kind of work within a passion of theirs. They have an enjoyable life, but they're really not looking to, kind of cash out or get rich. It's kind of a different way of thinking about their business. So kind of want to make those points right off the bat, just because I think that happens more times than not in the nutritional supplement space. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I think the reason why so many people ask about the investability of their business is that they haven't thought it out, but they do want to exit their business one day. So I think it's important for us to kind of talk about that within the nutritional supplement space. And I kind of look at the investability of the business in kind of three ways. And that is surrounding like the product, the team, or like the assets, and then also the market. So we'll kind of start at the product. So with product, one of the things to kind of think about first is, is the products meeting like customer needs, market needs? And I think that with nutritional supplements, with them growing, the category growing so quickly, I think it's obvious that there is, there is a big consumer demand. There's brands that can obviously meet those needs. It's just a matter of, is this particular company meeting that or not? But I think you need to look at the products pretty closely, because just because a product meets a certain customer need at this time, may be pretty popular. I think people that are kind of in the weeds in this category know that, product life cycles are getting shorter and shorter. Also, brand life cycles are getting shorter and shorter. And those kind of life cycle shortening are creating like a smaller lifetime customer value. And these are kind of all important things that you're looking at when you're looking at an investable business. I think one of the biggest key one that I speak about a lot is that not much that is proprietary about nutritional supplement companies, especially with a lot of the trends that are happening now with open labels, transparency. You tend not to be able to hide a lot of kind of your secret sauce outside of maybe some flavors and a couple other kind of minute things, but the product in general is very much different than having to do a lot of like R&D with maybe some personal care beauty products, Also, with having like a secret recipe or something like that that's in like kind of a food and beverage, there's a little bit different dynamics that are happening with the nutritional supplement space that's kind of a negative in terms of its investability. You also kind of want to look at, is the category what they call like Amazoned? Like, is it easily Amazoned? And that's kind of in a way meaning like, is it easily commoditized? One of the biggest issues with nutritional supplements is the commoditization of it is kind of accelerating pretty quickly, especially with Amazon putting a lot of focus on the category. So you need to make sure that is a little bit harder to commoditize. And then also, from an inventory perspective, I think there's a lot of like nutritional supplement companies now are launching like a ton of different flavors, a ton of different SKU variations, a ton of different things. And though that's great from a mindshare perspective and trying to keep the conversation going, if you also are keeping those SKUs live and not just having them be like seasonal or kind of exclusive, or one of those things where they're kind of short-lived, you tend to make your inventory picture, your cash picture be a lot more complex, and those things are not really positives in terms of the investability of your business. Now let's kind of transition. Let's move into kind of the team or the team and assets kind of category. Things that I kind of think about. One is around like the founder and the leadership team. And does that founder leadership team have this kind of match with the market? And I think these brands first start up, they have a natural fit. I think people generally get into the category because they're pretty passionate about the category. But I think over time it progresses, and as the business grows, I think there's kind of a mismatch that happens with the skill sets that these founders or leadership team have. I think a lot of them also struggle to kind of progress or kind of enhance their knowledge base to kind of meet the needs of their growing business. And you have a lot of these what they call shooting stars, which have created an environment that is not all that positive for investments, because people have seen the story happen more and more, and there's kind of a common founder leadership team kind of mismatch that happens with the market over time. I think this founding leadership team also kind of struggles a lot of times with being an operator, and I'm talking about really understanding costs and understanding numbers, and being able to cut certain areas and really understand the whole supply chain, understand where a lot of the leakage points are, a lot of the exposure liability points. I think that there's just a lot of the entrepreneurs in this category that are not hardcore operators. They are what I would consider more just kind of feel type of entrepreneurs. They are maybe visionaries, which can be a really good thing for an investable standpoint if they are really good from a visionary standpoint on product. Now, walking down another kind of line, because of the category being very much Me Too, being very much copycat, you don't have a lot of just like really disruptive, innovative products that are kind of getting out there. You have a lot of just incremental innovations, which is really hard to invest in, because that somebody can just create a better mousetrap tomorrow. And we're talking about product here, but I think there's innovation. I think innovation can kind of go in so many different ways. One of the areas that you don't see a lot of kind of innovation from a communication standpoint is where people are kind of using all the same systems. They're using the same kind of social media scripts. They're doing those types of things. And there's obviously a pretty far distinction from people that are really getting and knowing how to build a digital brand, from just people that really just don't know how at all to kind of use social media and those things. Now, that's good and all, but from an investment standpoint, you're looking at something, are somebody standing out like really far out? Are they utilizing an innovative way to communicate to their customers? Moving from communication more like technology, again, like a lot of these businesses are not thinking about, the tech behind their kind of customer experience. Are they utilizing a lot of like just white labeled products? Do they have a technology team to build proprietary things? I think you're going to see a lot more of that with like this personalization, customization that's happening in the industry. And that's also kind of where you see a lot of the investments happening right now, is through some of these people that are focusing on the propositions of building a tech product that just happens to sell a nutritional supplement in a customized or a personalized way. You guys have heard me talk about this area a ton of different ways, and how I don't think it's completely there yet from this true personalization or customization, but you guys can obviously watch some of those other videos that I have on my channel. And then From like an asset perspective, like does this nutrition, a lot of the nutritional supplement companies don't do their own manufacturing, so that's kind of tough. If you did have your own kind of manufacturing capabilities, that would be a positive. A lot of them don't necessarily even kind of own their own logistics, warehousing, all those types of things that, again, that could be construed as kind of a negative because you can't deploy some of those assets in a way that makes it a competitive advantage. You also don't have like tech or marketing, creative kind of assets that you can build around. A lot of those, again, are outsourced out, so you don't have a lot of that in-house to be able to create a competitive advantage. And there's not a lot of like vertical integration, through some distribution or retailing or kind of all those things. You're not really, a lot of these nutritional supplement business are kind of a marketing business that, has a couple of maybe founders, leadership team, they have a couple sales guys or maybe a couple customer service, social media type of people, and that's kind of all that's in the business. Because of that, some of the team and asset area is kind of hard for people to find an investability around. And then finally, like the last kind of point that I kind of look at is around the market. Talked about it before, like it's growing, it's great. I mean, that's obviously from a macro perspective, it's awesome. I mean, there's obviously some segmentation that's growing quicker than some of just the overall category. You need to kind of find those areas that's best fit. And I think there's still some area of opportunity in terms of a lot of legacy brands that hold a good chunk of the market share are still kind of struggling to communicate directly to customers. So that creates an opportunity in the market for people that are really good at communicating. I also think, kind of alluded to earlier, like the market is expandable, it's fragmenting. There's also, the idea of kind of having a long tail where there's an environment where a lot of activity is happening in this fragmentation or segmentation of the market. That's not saying that's a good or bad thing, depending on how big that segment is. And if you can kind of continuously expand that market, it can be potentially investable. Possibly a really good thing to think about from an investability standpoint is that, the category is still extremely technical. There's still a lot of like misconceptions, a lot of education that needs to happen. So if somebody's able to streamline that in a way that's really highly effective and really easily consumable and digestible, and able to kind of put that in a way that can convert customers, I think there's some investability in that area. Now, from like a margin perspective, vitamins, minerals, supplements, nutritional supplement category, there is usually a pretty good margin outside of some of the commodities of like protein. A lot of the categories do have a very strong margin. That margin is, kind of slowly fleeting because of competition and just kind of how things are progressing in that manner. You're having this increased amount of saturation in the market. There's also that idea of like kind of timing. Is this a really good time to invest? And I think right now, I think that timing aspect that I'm talking about is really hard to talk about. I mean, right now it might be, kind of an area where I think the timing's a little bit off in terms of making a purchase. Now, if you watch this video a year from now, or maybe even a month or two from now, if there's some different things that happen with the economy, that could be totally different. But you have to kind of consider that. I'm going to end this topic here. No, I kind of got technical, kind of went all over the place with this, gave you guys a lot of information. What I kind of wanted to make sure I covered here is that, there's just a lot of things that go into, is your business investable or not? There's obviously a lot of the things I talked about that you can use and obviously increase your investability of your business. There's all kinds of different factors of maybe why you would want your business to maybe be more investable. Apologize if this was a little bit too nuanced for some of you guys, maybe that don't own brands, but I think it's important just to kind of think about these things. Maybe it can make you guys a better team member, have this information to progress in your career. But regardless if this was nuanced or not, I would appreciate if you guys hit that thumbs up button. It's right down below. It doesn't cost you anything. It just takes a quick click. If you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you guys do that. Really would appreciate if you guys join my community. And just want to thank you guys one last time for spending some time with me. But I'll see you guys on the next video.